Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Welcome to High Vibrational Kings. This is a channel for people that want to better themselves in life. Shout out to anybody holding on to their energy, breaking bad addictions, and becoming a better version of themselves. All right, guys, we out here in nature. You know what I'm saying? Grounding at this beautiful spot, man. You know, out here in the creek, far away from all that BS, like energy, you know what I'm saying? Like all that city vibes and all that chaos in the world, right? I'm out here connecting back to the source of nature. And I just wanted to talk about what's on my mind. And, you know, the topic of today's video is basically going to be something along the lines of how most people, well, first of all, when you're on your self-improvement journey, your spiritual journey, your SR journey, because it all ties in together. When you are basically, you know, putting yourself first, protecting your energy, prioritizing your inner peace, man. As I'm speaking, guys, like it's just so beautiful, man. What I'm seeing behind the phone, but let me not get distracted, guys, man. After this video, you already know I'm gonna go in, man. You already know I'm gonna just be in the moment, but yeah, what I was saying is like when you protect your energy, guys, a lot of people will be in a unaccessible dimension to you. And what that means is that a lot of people, they won't be able to share your space. Okay? And you know, like a lot of people that you might have related to back then, like people that you hung out with in the past, man. Bro, like when you start putting yourself first, man, and like valuing yourself and, you know, working on yourself, doing the inner work, you know, like I said, protecting your peace, prioritizing your peace, not being around like drama, negativity, stuff that is just bad for your spirit, man, stuff that is just bad for your mentality, like all that stuff, bro. You know, people make life so much more complicated than it actually has to be. You know, a lot of people lack self-awareness, okay? In this society of distractions and chaos, a lot of people lack self-awareness, so they're constantly projecting like negative energy, you know? Words are powerful, you know, they could create or they could destroy. You know, whatever you speak, whether that is life or death, that's, you know, there's a verse or something that says, life and death is in the power of the tongue, right? And that's pretty true, man. Like whatever you put out into the world, man, that's a vibration, you know, that's a certain frequency. And that's why a lot of people, they program themselves to be negative, you know, by the stuff that they're consuming, the environments that they're constantly in. Like they're unconscious about it, man. So they're on a low vibration 24/7. But to them, that's normal. That's their normal reality. But when you are self-aware, man, when you're tapped in spiritually with yourself, and you know you probably always been conscious, man, or a conscious spiritual person by nature, you're gonna be able to see it, man. You're gonna be able to have great discernment, okay, when it comes to people, places, and things, right? And the thing about SR is that it's a spiritual practice. You know, it's just like, you know, you have a lot of insight on this journey, man, because your mind isn't polluted with lust, and you know, you're harnessing your life force energy, and you know, it just changes you internally, guys, right? So yeah, man, and you will find yourself just like valuing your peace a lot more, okay, and protecting your energy, and just like, guys, like nowadays I have such a low tolerance for like BS energy. You know, I have such a low tolerance for BS energy because if it ain't about no good vibes, I gotta say goodbye, right? But that's true, man. Like life is too short to be hanging around just nonsense, man. Okay, especially if you're self-aware, especially if you're, you know, your intuition is telling you to like isolate yourself, or you know, go out in nature. Like bro, like your intuition is like your GPS, bro. You know, you have a higher self and you have a lower self, man. So when you cut off all the distractions, man, you cut off the social media, You know what I'm saying? You cut off the doom scrolling. You cut off like the alcohol, the lust, the drama, the negativity, like a lot of stuff, bro. When you cut off a lot of nonsense in your life, you're gonna start protecting your energy and like valuing your peace. So instead of being out in chaos and like in the club or like at parties and all this BS, bro, around fake people, man, you're gonna just be drawn to like more quiet places. Your spirit is just gonna want to go out in nature, man. Just like, because nature is just like so good for you. Okay, it's just so good for your soul. And another thing is that, like, I used to always be like this as well. I feel like my old self again. Because back then I used to spend a lot of time in nature. you know I would always go to the mountains, or I would go to the creek, and I would have like these solo like therapy sessions, man. It was like, because nature is naturally therapeutic, when you just cut off like the noise, right? Like if you're basically in nature with like no distractions, you know even not even being on your phone. Like, obviously, like, I listen to music every once in a while, but there's something very unique about being in nature without technology. Just being out here, just letting it heal you, just hearing like the birds, and hearing like the water running, and just like tuning in, right? Tuning into your surroundings, man. It's very healing, and it makes you like have like these deeper thoughts and self-reflect and all that stuff, man. But like I'm telling you guys, like, I used to be like this, right? I used to always be out in nature and just vibing out by the trees and stuff. But then, like, sometimes people come into your life, and you just kind of like forget about yourself in a way. You're out there just just turning up, or just getting caught up in this world, bro, right? Just getting caught up in this matrix, all this cheap dopamine and distractions and relationships, or, you know, just things like that, bro. It takes you away from yourself, right? But like, when you're by yourself, man, you should take that time to heal, man. You should take that time to, you know, um, work on yourself, okay? And that's just something that I've been doing a lot more. Is just not being so drawn to like wanting to fit into this matrix, guys. Because the more technology comes out, like, the stupider people become. Okay, so it's just like, I don't even care about being on social media. I don't care about clout. I don't care about blowing up, and you know what I'm saying, bro? Because it's all stupid, man. It's all like, it's just, man, that's what life feels like nowadays, bro. It just feels like it's just uh, followers and likes and comments and, scrolling, and like all this like instant dopamine, instant distractions, bro. Like, Instagram is just so weird nowadays, man. I mean, it's always been weird to some extent. But nowadays, bro, like I said, I have such a low tolerance for just nonsense. Like, if I go on Instagram, man, I'll go on there for like literally less than a minute, or less than, yeah, literally like a minute tops, bro. I'll go on there real quick. I'll probably share something, and I log out, because it's just like, it feels so unnatural. At least with YouTube, you could kind of put your thoughts into a video, and it will probably help someone out. I'd be tuning into certain people, and I appreciate their messages. So, I know a lot of people appreciate, my videos, and I'm grateful for that. But it's not like something that I'm doing for like clout or blowing up, or, like all this nonsense, bro. Like, it just comes naturally, bro. It just organically happened, right? Like, this channel, it was never like planned or anything like that. I used to have another YouTube channel, like I'm telling you guys, like, I used to have old videos. I don't know what happened to those channels, man, but I used to make videos like this, not about SR, but just like spiritual stuff, like just life in general. And I was like 15 years old, man. I was like 15, man, and I was just like making these like super like inspirational videos or something like that. And Yeah, I don't know what happened to that channel, man, but I remember I used to do that. So it's like I'm kind of reconnecting back to that in some type of way. But at the same time, I'm not like trying to get lost in the sauce of, you know, the algorithm and, you know, all this stuff, man. But if you guys appreciate the message, that's how you know, you could show support, is just by leaving a like and a comment, um, you know, and engage, right? But at the same time, it's like I'm not doing it for the wrong reasons or for attention or clout or all that BS, bro. You know, nowadays I find myself slowly just detaching from a lot of stuff, okay? And I know I went a little bit on a tangent, you know, but I'm just kind of freestyling right now, you know, I'm just telling you guys what's on my mind. But that is one of them, man. How people will be in a unaccessible dimension to you. It's like there's a split, you know. There's always a constant split going on between, you know, high vibrational energy, low vibrational energy, and you know, think of it as a radio station, man. Like when a radio station is caught between, you know, two frequencies, it's like static, right? You can't hear clearly. But when you're tuned in to, you know, like if two people are tuned in to the same vibration, like they think the same, you know, their energy is like similar, it's gonna be smooth, right? It's gonna be clear. But if two people aren't on the same type of energy, it's gonna, like, the energy isn't gonna blend well, you know. It's not gonna be harmonious, right? It's gonna be chaotic. Right? So that's what will happen, man. That's what will happen when you're on your journey, man, is when you start to raise your vibration, you know, you start, you know, putting yourself first and protecting your peace and stepping away from all that nonsense, man. You're not going to be able to relate to a lot of people, places, or things, because a lot of people, places, and things is just chaotic, right? It's just low vibrational, and it's just like I'm telling you guys, like, your discernment goes up, and you see things from like a higher perspective, okay? So instead of being out in the mall, you know, you be finding yourself out in the creek, right? Or instead of, you know, being at the parties, you be at the mountains, man. Or instead of, you know, I don't know, being somewhere like that, bro, you be out at the beach, you know, wanting to surround yourself with good vibes, right? Good energy. But yeah, man, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to talk about that real quick, guys. Something that was on my mind is how a lot of people, you won't be able to relate to them, because the energy isn't harmonized, like the energy isn't synchronized. You know, maybe back then you probably got along with certain people because you were on a similar vibration as them. You know, same interests and all that stuff, man. But you know, a lot of people don't change in life, man. A lot of people stay stuck in these vices and just like drama, and they're so like unconscious. Like I said, man, a lot of people are unconscious and unaware of a lot of stuff. So when you go out here in nature, man, and you just have like these downloads, bro, as they say, you just see life differently, man. You're just like, bro, like, it's crazy, man. Like, we are constantly experiencing different realities all the time, man. You know, life is everything and nothing at the same time. And life is obviously like whatever you make of it, okay? You know, life isn't what society tells you it is, man. Life can be whatever you want it to be, to some extent, right? Because obviously we still live in this matrix, and you know, you probably have to work or just provide and all that stuff, man. But you know, you don't have to follow every single thing that society tells you to do. You know, you don't have to, you know, be materialistic. You don't have to be blowing all your money on clothes and, you know, be chasing women and be out at the clubs or trying to flex or trying to prove yourself to people that you don't even care about, or try to clout chase or have followers, and you know, like all this stuff, bro. Like all this external chasing and validation, and bro, like when you go within, man, you like validate yourself, bro. You feel like validated by, you know, the Most High, right? So all that external validation is just not even gonna be really meaningful. Like, it doesn't even mean anything, okay? And yeah, man, it's just a lot of fakery out here, right? A lot of fakery. But like I said, man, like the more technology advances, the more artificial people become. You You know, people are literally turning into like bots, right? And people aren't even fully submerged or um, linked up with technology like that. But that is something that, you know, they would try to push, obviously, you know, merging people with robots and all this nonsense, man. But that's just like demonic, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's one way of putting it, man. Like life is just so, like, you are amazing as you are. Like, humans are just so amazing. But at the same time, bro, they're, you know, when they don't control their minds, something else controls it. You know, their environments and social media and all these programs out here to make them be at a certain, you know, level, right? The celebrities and, you know, like all this BS, bro, like all this artificial stuff, man. That's why a lot of women nowadays are Jezebels, you know. They're influenced by like all these female artists or like rappers, bro, and it's just like they're like the way that they think is just weird, bro. You know, they're like they have like no soul or something. You know, they sell their soul for likes and clout and OnlyFans and all this crazy stuff, bro. But yeah, man, 1616. I saw it right when I looked at the screen. It was 1616. But yeah, you know, I'm just chilling, bro. I probably wrap the video up so I could enjoy this nature and this scenery. But you know, I just wanted to talk about that real quick, guys. I know kind of all over the place, bro, but I'm just flowing. You know, I'm just flowing and glowing. You already be knowing. So with that being said, I hope you guys have a good day, man. Let me know what you guys thought about this video. And with that being said, yeah, catch you guys in the next one. Peace.